Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another session of Once Upon a Time with Rinpoche. In today's episode, it's going to be about establishing a spiritual community. So, as usual, before I go on, let me have a look on who's on. Anyway, it's quite early, so some of you are just logging on, I think. Anyway, there's no one, but it's all right. Um, let me see. Okay, of course I can see Pastor Neral. He's here with me. And whoever is online, welcome. And maybe if you are watching this from a later time and rewatching this video, welcome to this show. Today's session would be about Rinpoche and establishing this spiritual community called Kechara. Okay, I mean, not Kechara as the organization, but the community itself. For me, it started off very long time ago, when I first got to know Rinpoche. And then, as of previous weeks, I was talking about various subjects like meeting Rinpoche, of being introduced to Dojo Shukden, of working for Kechara. And I was talking about that last week, or rather not last week, the previous session, which is 2 weeks ago. So what happened was this week will be how I got into the spiritual community, into the fold. So what happened was what happened was Rinpoche told me one day. Actually, he's been telling me all along since the beginning, and he was saying that that I should move out, and he felt that it would be beneficial for me spiritually, beneficial for me in terms of personal development, personal development, beneficial for me in terms of becoming independent. All right. So that was how it all started for me as an individual, because Rinpoche understands, and I was also like being in Asia. Most people live with their parents till they get married. Or if they had to travel somewhere or to live in another city, another town in order to work, then you live on your own. Otherwise, you'll be living with your parents because you want to save money. So, but for me, Rinpoche said, even if you do not have much, you should live on your own. It will be very good for you. It will be very, very beneficial. So I didn't immediately act on it, and I was thinking, the idea was appealing in a sense of having my independence and doing what I want and having a room on my own, living in a house and all that. It was appealing. It was very, very appealing. But I had to think it through, and I also had to think about my parents, how they would take it. So anyway, I see some people come on. Thank you for joining me. Let me see. Oh, hi, JP. Esther, Kanun, Sharon, Tsatsa Ong, hi, good evening, and Miaoki, good evening to you guys. Thank you for joining me. And today is about establishing a spiritual community, okay, just to let you know. So what happened was, so I was thinking, and in the end, I decided to do it. I decided to do it after I've joined Kechara as a staff. I joined the outlets, Kechara Mystical Treasures, and I was working for Kechara. I was working basically for Kechara and Rinpoche. So what happened was I decided to follow Rinpoche's advice. And it was a big step for me because I have lived on my own in the sense that I've lived in Australia. I it was just a year. And but it was different in the sense that I was a student. I was studying that time, so I was supported by my parents financially. And now I'm working on my own, and I'm going to live on my own. So it was quite a step for me. So never mind. So what I did was I was thinking, how am I going to break the news to my parents? So I I remember sitting in the kitchen one day, I was having breakfast or something like that. And I struck a conversation with my mother who was in the kitchen. And I told her that I think it would be good if I live outside. I mean, I'm not trying to waste money, or I was just trying to, I said it was just to be independent. It was to make it, um, be for my personal development. And I can't remember the words I used. Probably not personal development, probably not that formal with my mother, because this was many years ago. So what happened was, it was just like I was just I used a lot of words to say, oh, it'd be very good. And I would still come and see her. And then, my mom was very cool about it, which was surprising because I was actually quite close to my mother and I quite was um attached lah, rather, very, very attached to my mother and vice versa. So my mother was took it pretty well. And I think whatever I conveyed to my mother worked. So okay, then next is to find a place. So I went looking for a place. I was looking, in KL. I was looking in PJ. I went to look for a few places, and I was thinking, where am I going to stay? There are some places that are so far away. In some places I went, I had a bad feeling about those places. I don't know, maybe it's haunted or something. So I was saying, oh, I don't know. Then, and what happened was, I started to hear that some people were planning to move out as well, to have a few people were trying to gather together to form a house, as in they're going to rent a house, a double story, and then they're going to be housemates, and they're all working for Kechara. So that was how, and then that was a fantastic idea, and I asked them, do you have an extra room? And it was Paul Yap, who was managing this house. And he said, actually, we do. We just needed one extra housemate. If you don't mind, it's a room downstairs. So I said, yes, I want it. And I did it. And we formed a little house together. I mean, not a house, a little. It was a household of all Kechara members. We were just colleagues, kind of. So, but what happened was Rinpoche saw it as something beneficial, as something that was a start of a spiritual community. That's when he started to give us the idea of what a spiritual community is, because it's living together of like-minded people, in a sense that, I mean, we're not just working for Kechara, we are also practitioners. We are also people with we're Buddhists, we have an altar. So, when we have an altar, we make offerings, people don't find it weird, or don't find it a problem with, in terms of, whatever, So what happened was, Rimji told us that, it's very good. And he gathered all of us together and gave us a little pep talk about living together and supporting each other in the Dharma. Because being in the Dharma, considering that we are very, very new, it is very important to have support. It's very important for us to live among people, to communicate among people, to be with people, to spend time with people, not just work, not just doing retreats or pujas, also leisure time, also, just hanging out, just going out, eat, talking, casual talks. So what happens is it will help foster our spiritual practice, because it is not just about work. It's not just about puja, it's not just about retreats, it's just not just about setting an altar. It's communication. It's living with people with like-minded spirituality. All right, so that's what it's all about. So this is what Rinpoche said. In that's, I mean, as far as I can remember, I'm just rephrasing it based on my memory. So what happened was, he said it's very good, and he said it is a start of many Dharma houses in the future. There's already one. There was Tara House, and Rinpoche told us to name our house based on the Buddha. So there was a Tara House. There was a I think mine was Heruka. Yeah, the house I lived in was Heruka. I had Paul, I had JT, I have other people, various Dharma students, as the picture I posted on Facebook. Some of you have seen. All right. So what happened was we had a we had a party. It's a normal house in a sense that we are also normal people, not just it's not just pray, puja, mantra, sadhana, dharma, talking dharma. We don't sit down and have dharma talks with each other. We don't. We also have fun times together. We had a party. We also had sometimes we cook, sometimes we go out to eat, and then sometimes we argue, as all households do. Okay, come on, let's just be realistic. All right, so if you guys are living in a Dharma house right now, please share, because this is just the start of a Dharma community, because this is the beginning. Rinpoche said this was a beginning, and true enough, it became the basis for what later becomes Kechara Forest Retreat. So what happened was we had an altar, of course, and initially it was Rinpoche had placed a statue there of Lama Tsongkhapa and two sons, and then for something happened and it was taken away. And what happened was during that time, I cannot remember the exact basis of what started it, but I knew there were some Dharma students who have already started like chapels and invited huge Buddha statues, Lama Tsongkhapa, Vajrayogini, Satrap, I think as well. Yeah, that time. So what happened was that kind of inspired me, but of course, I was a pauper at that time. So what happened was I definitely could not afford a statue of. In a Dharma house, being in a Dharma house, we all have our little statues that some of us have been given by Rinpoche. Some of us have, we've saved money. Like personally, for me, I had statues like this Manjushri statue was given by Rinpoche, but I had a Lama Tsongkhapa set that was that I had purchased and invited rather. Sorry, I invited. Let's not call it purchase. Yeah. So what happened was I saw this Lama Tsongkhapa statue in the outlet, and I remember it was first displayed in what became it was not in the one that I was working at Kechara Mystical Treasures. It was in another outlet. Later on, we had Yogini Mystical Treasures, we had Zambala Mystical Treasures. Zambala Mystical Treasures was the one. Zambala Mystical Treasures was on Sunray Pyramid, and there was not Zambala Pyramid, Wanutama. In Wanutama. And there was a Lama Tsongkhapa statue there, and the face had a smile. And I remember when I saw it, oh my God, I just had to invite it, but I don't know how. How am I going to afford it? I asked the price. I was like, ugh. And I just, my card. I don't know whether some of you have watched my previous episode. I already invited a Lama Tsongkhapa set, a tiny one though, not a big one. But so I was like, how am I going? I know I'm very greedy. So many statues. It's just me. So kind of influenced by Rinpoche and also from myself. And so I was saying I had to have it. And I was talking to Rinpoche, and he was very, very supportive. And Rinpoche told me an idea. Why don't you ask your father? Yeah, Rinpoche asked me to ask my father to sponsor it. And because definitely he cannot bring it home because, my mother is not Buddhist. So what happened was, why not put it in my house? Heruka house. And so I was like, and Rinpoche said, you should tell your father to dedicate the statue, because inviting a Buddha statue is not a monetary investment as what we all think. Like I just said, buy a statue. Actually, it's not. Rinpoche said, because you have used that sum of money that you would have ordinarily used for your attachments, you've used it. You're instead using it for something sacred and holy, like a Buddha rupa. Rupa is a Buddha statue. All right, the Buddha form, rupa. So what happened is, because you have used the money for that, you have cut your attachments, and you have accumulated merits and accumulated causes to achieve the Buddha body. So you purify a lot of body karma, and because of that, you extend your life. All right. So Rinpoche said it's important to tell my father to dedicate the statue to my mother. It's dedicated to my mother. I remember Rinpoche said that, and I told my dad. I was thinking, okay, let's put it this way. My dad is not exactly the most generous person from memory, in terms of when I was a kid, when I asked for toys. The only time I usually am more successful in asking for things is when it's my birthday and when it's Christmas. These are the two opportunities usually. And that time there's nowhere near Christmas, and my birthday is nowhere near either. I can't remember what month it was, but I just remember it was not Christmas, it was not my birthday. And I was thinking, okay, I was worried someone was going to invite the statue, okay, that time. So I went ahead and I spoke to my father, and I did my best, and I spoke to him and I said, why not dedicate it to my mom, So my dad said yes. I was like, really? Yeah, my dad said yes. I was quite surprised. I was shocked because my dad has never been this generous. So I was very, very happy, and Rinpoche was very happy. It's not so much as because he invited a statue. It was more because of it's a powerful puja. It's a powerful practice to invite holy images. The bigger the image, the more sacred, more merits accumulated based on. If you read in Rinpoche's blog, Rinpoche has spoken out about it extensively in certain articles. All right. So what happened was we had a Lama Tsongkhapa statue now, and that was the statue that's in the picture that I posted on the Kecharans and Friends group. All right. Yeah, I see some comments. Let me see. Okay, I see that. Quite a lot of people saying hello. Okay, Wendy Chua, hello. Good evening to you. Melvin, hi. Long time no see. Guangming, Sui Ling, all right. And Dr. Ming, I see. Good evening to you. And Chia Jin. Sorry, is it Chia Jin? Jinji Chia. Sorry, Chia Jin, correct. Jerry and Andrea, hello. Andrea, by the way, Andrea is my cousin. And Pastor Shin and Jose party. What do you mean by party? Oh yeah, I mean we had some parties, of course. And then Pastor Shin says, I miss those Dharma houses. So fun. My house was Jamyang house, and we had Naropa house, Drapa house, Satrap house, so many. Yeah, a lot of us who worked in Kechara started to have our own individual Dharma houses, and we have our own little gatherings and housemates, and of course we have our own drama Rama. I'm sure each house had their own drama. Who didn't clean up, who dirtied the toilet, the complaints, the household chores and all that. It's usual. But you see, it was the start of something. So Rinpoche would encourage that. And Rinpoche, you know what Rinpoche used to do? In order to encourage us, Rinpoche would come and visit our Dharma houses and do a revamp. In a sense that it was like a household makeover. He came in and he told his assistants that, okay, I want to have a cabinet here. I want tables here for this struggling Dharma student. So Rinpoche would actually get furniture from IKEA, of course, not anything super expensive, but something nice, something decent for the Dharma students to be comfortable, lights, carpet, furniture. Yeah. And Rinpoche used to do that, and Rinpoche would come and observe our little individual altars. It's very funny because Rinpoche had a lot of comments, and in a sense that it's very cute, in a sense. Rinpoche was encouraging us to live together and encouraging us to have altars and to make sure our altars are clean and our offerings are cleared and made, and also our room are to be clean. And if you have been studying on the Lam Rim, you will know that it's important to have our living space clean. We shouldn't live in dirty spaces, although some of us are very lazy to clean, like myself. But it's important to clean because every time when we do our prayers, we are inviting the holy beings to come. And when they come, they bring along with other beings, spiritual beings. And if our room is dirty, they will be repulsed. According to the Lamrim, the higher, the worldly deities that are beneficial, that are supportive of our practice would come. But if it's dirty, they'll be repulsed. So they will not come so near. So they will not be able to assist us. So it's important, according to Kechara Pabongka, it's important to have our rooms, our living space, to be clean. More important than our space is our altars. And our altars should always be, as much as often as we can on a daily basis, at least the offerings, like the water offerings, should be changed. It shouldn't be left to its moldy, it's dried up, it's rusty, it's if the food offerings or the sometimes when you have flowers, the flowers are wilted, the water inside the vase is moldy. Oh, that's very bad. And why is it bad? It's bad because it attracts negative beings. If you are sensitive, it attracts spirits. It is bad for our practice because it's a negative karma of disrespecting the Dharma. Because the altar is where you have representations of the three jewels. So when you have offerings that are dirty and moldy and all that, it's disrespectful. So when it's disrespectful, there's a negative karma. What kind of negative karma? You get drip. The Tibetan word is drip, meaning spiritual pollution. So what happened is when you have spiritual pollution, that kind of negative karma, when you listen to the Dharma, you are distracted or you're very sleepy. The most common is very, very sleepy. So when you hear a Dharma talk, you feel you cannot control your eyes. You just fall asleep. You find it boring. So that's a direct result because of we have disrespected the Dharma in that way. So sometimes we unknowingly disrespected, even if you unknowingly disrespected, like just out of habit, you don't clean your altar. And hence, Rinpoche was very particular when he comes to visit. And all of us know, so what happened is we scrambled the so Rinpoche also know. Rinpoche, what he does is he does it on a spontaneous basis. So he would suddenly appear out of nowhere and surprise a lot of us. That's what Rinpoche used to do. And it was really fun. Okay. Hi Dory. Hi. There's this person in Chinese words. I can't read Chinese. Sorry. You have folded hands and you ask, "Hi, Pastor David. Wanted to seek your help on repainting of statues." I personally don't do that. If you are in KL, if you are in Bentong, you can seek the help of anybody in Bigfoot or in front desk. But more importantly, it's Naropa's Cave, the gift shop in Wisdom Hall. If you are in Bentong, if you are in KL, then please look for Pastor Albert in Kechara Paradise in Sunway Mas. That's the shop along the same street with Kechara House in Sunway Mas. Okay, if you have if you want your statues painted, oh, I see you're in KL, then please go to Kechara Paradise, look for Pastor Albert. All right, if you cannot find him, ask around. Someone will help you. Just ask around. All right, I personally, because I'm in Bentong, and I won't be able to help you directly. All right. And Abby says, "Hi, Pastor David. Nice stories you're sharing. Thank you." So what happened was, Rinpoche used to do that. He used to, and of course, every time Rinpoche comes, is not just coming to look at our rooms and all that. It's to talk to us, is to to joke with us, to take us out to eat, and it's always that those are early days, And sometimes Rinpoche will buy back a lot of food, and we will have a little picnic. Of course, nowadays, having a big gathering is like a dream of the past, lah. Because of MCO and all that. Yes, thank you, Sharon. Thank you for tagging Pastor Albert. Thank you. Yes. So what happened is, yeah, that's what Rinpoche used to do for us, and to foster this spiritual community, foster us to live together and to support each other. Because on our own, we're easily influenced. We influence away, get distracted, you know. So what happens is, over time, then what happened? Rinpoche started Kechara Forest Retreat, because the idea of Kechara Forest Retreat is an institution to spread Dharma in a different manner, in a different way as opposed to Kechara House. Kechara Forest Retreat is for people to come to experience solitude, to experience peace of mind, to engage in light practices, circumambulation, retreats, whether it's more traditional retreats or some lighter form of retreat like inner peace, you know. So what happens is, it is also for us Dharma students to live in a real commune, in a real community. And the Dharma houses was just a start. At that time, we didn't have a place out of town. Because why is it out of town? It's out of town. It's not in Kuala Lumpur. Is because it should be secluded, a little secluded. So Rinpoche knows us very well. We are not very, we're not totally, yogis and yoginis, give up our life and go into the cave and meditate type of person or type of practitioner. We're not. So Rinpoche knows we're not. And so Kechara Forest Retreat was conceptualized specially by Rinpoche to have a go-between. So it's near KL for us in case when we needed necessities and all that. And at the same time, it's secluded so that we can engage in practice, less distractions. Because even in KL, there's a lot of distractions, right? So that's the idea. Yeah. Joy, you're still living in a Dharma house. Oh yeah, you're living in a you're still living in a Dharma house. I'm living in a Dharma house. We all still living in Dharma houses. It's just that that at that time we were all in each individual houses. There's a lot of us together, and even for me, when I was in a Dharma house, we have a lot of issues. And also people coming in, moving out, moving out, and then some people, we have own issues. Whatever issues that may be. Of course, I'm not going to tell you our personal issues here on live stream, but that's just life. All of us have issues. And because we are in Dharma, we learn to handle our issues according to the Dharma as much as we can, give and take. And according to our spiritual practice, according to advice from Rinpoche, and we have grown in the Dharma because of that, in supporting of each other. And all of us have obstacles, emotional obstacles, wanting to give up, wanting to run away, wanting to slap someone, slap someone we don't like, wanting to cry, we're feeling depressed, feeling poor me. Why me? Why this has got to happen to? Why this got to do with me? Why it always happens to me? Things, situations like that. It could be relationship. It could be, I don't know, family problems, whatever it may be. Whether we're living on the outside or living in a spiritual community, we still face the same issues. All right. So, but there's a difference. When we're living in a spiritual community, we have like-minded people, and when we are among like-minded people, when we are supported by people who are spiritually inclined. So the advice that comes from them, or the jokes, the teasing, the talk, is more spiritually inclined. Even the work, definitely the work. Let's begin with the work. The work is spiritually inclined. It is to help other people. So there's a lot of benefit, as opposed to be on the outside of a spiritual community. So what happens is, that's the whole idea. Thank you for sharing. Let's see what Joy has to say. Yeah, I was in Tara House, was the first Dharma house, started as a house where we went to do pujas before you even join us in Kalanan Shire. Yeah, Very nice. Yours is the first Tara House. Tara House, Heruka, and then we have all the Jamyang, Drakpa, Satrap, and all that. Naropa. But it doesn't matter who is the first because we all were living among ourselves in this community, and it was to build to a point where it was to be transplanted to over here. So what happened is after Rinpoche started Kechara Forest retreat. So what happened was we moved over. Okay, when we moved over to Kechara Forest Retreat, it wasn't like what you see now. It wasn't so nice. It wasn't. It was. It began with tents. I remember it was tents. Um, it was cabins. It was back to basics. Very rustic living. And for me, I'm a city boy. I just tell you straightforward. I'm a city boy, and I was not used to it. For the short term, it was exotic. I thought it was like, ooh, I don't know how to say this, but it felt really nice in a sense that it was kind of exciting in a sense. And then, but that excitement, wore off. And then the excitement because, it was like there's no TV, no computer, hardly any internet, mosquitoes, um, it was nice weather, fresh air, trees, nature, and very basic lighting, nothing much, not much modern convenience. A lot of mud that time because there was a lot of construction going on, a lot of mud. That was how it was like in early days of Kechara Forest Retreat. So that's how Rinpoche started. He lived in the land. He did pujas on the land. He stayed here. And then sometimes there were issues. We had to move back to KL, or there's some work to be done in KL. Then Rinpoche moved back for a while, but he always comes back here. And Rinpoche always felt at home here. Yes, he always felt at home here. And he felt that there is a lot of potential here for this land to be developed, to be something that would be beneficial, an institution. And of course, it cannot be directly, just spiritual. It has to be something holistic. So it will reach a wider group of people. All right. This is Abby Fools. Thank you for sharing. I really like your sharings without without me prompting you guys. If you guys all new here listening to me, you have your own stories about being in a Dharma house that when I'm talking about all these things that, it spark off a memory, please share. I mean, it doesn't have to be long and philosophical. It just have to be something you enjoy and something that you miss. This is what Abby says. I was not used to staying in the forest too. It took me a few years to get used to staying in Kechara Forest Retreat, but now I love living in Kechara Forest Retreat and Bentong. Joy says it was a good way to train us to live in a community with different people and different hang-ups. Being in Kechara Forest Retreat initially was difficult, but later on, we really learned to appreciate it and the great blessings, especially great to do retreats, which he wanted. I think you're referring to Rinpoche, which he wanted us to do later on in life, because we are all heading that age. And yeah, eventually, the idea about what Rinpoche had in mind was because in order for us to prepare for our future lives, in order for us to actualize the teachings, the Lamrim, we know about the Lamrim, we know about renunciation, about bodhicitta, about the Dharma in general. Okay, so but we need to practice it, and we need to gain attainments, and then we have received all these practices of Dodi Shukden, of Lama Tsongkhapa, of Manjushri, Tara, and so forth. And we need to communicate with the deities, with the Buddhas, to commune with the Buddhas. The idea of spiritual practice is to be one with the Buddhas, to become the Buddhas. In order to do that, we need to engage in retreats. And as a result of communing with the Buddhas, we purify karma. we gain realizations, small realizations, probably not really big ones, like earth shattering, like, under a Bodhi tree, and we, the last watch of the night, and then we become fully awakened, conquer Buddha joy, or Buddha Abbey. Probably not. Or Buddha Pastor David, oh God forbid. Buddha forbid. Whatever it is, we plan to do those retreats. Rinpoche has talked about it over and over again, and it has become something we aspire as well, because that is what spiritual practice is. Instead of growing old, retiring, having nothing to do, getting depressed, being lonely. Everybody who gets old and older, as we age, our health will fail. First, we have illnesses, and then when we start to see people slowly pass away around us. A lot of us already experienced that, especially in this period. Okay, when a lot of people pass away around us, loneliness will set in. And so in order to combat those, Dharma is very, very, very powerful, effective way to overcome that. And what better way to do that by practicing the Dharma, by doing retreats, by aspiring. At the moment, we are still very much involved in a lot of projects in Kechara. Then over time, when we are free, we will do retreats. And in fact, even when we cannot do long-term retreats, because the tradition of retreats is a long retreat, 3-year, 3-month, 3-day retreat. So that will be not feasible for us at this point, but it would be it will be still feasible to do short-term retreats. We should do a retreat every year, at least one, a tiny one, a weekend retreat. 10,000, 20,000 mantras of Doji Shukden, of Lama Tsongkhapa Miktsema, of Rinpoche's mantra, to accumulate the merits for Rinpoche for us to meet Rinpoche again. Yeah, for those things. So it's very, very, yeah. So the whole idea, the whole concept of a spiritual community was started from Rinpoche. It was something that, you see, one thing about Rinpoche is when he conceptualized this spiritual community, it was something that is based on his own wish. Doing retreats is from him. It is not taught to him by his gurus. His gurus didn't tell him, oh, you have to do retreats. I'm sure there are instructions in the sense that when you receive this practice, you're supposed to do this amount of retreats. But then it's not something that, it's not like following an instruction. Rinpoche is not following an instruction when he talks about retreats. When Rinpoche talks about retreats, it's a longing like an old friend. Why? Because Rinpoche had done a lot of retreats in previous lives. And if you have done a retreat, you will know what it feels like to do a retreat. Because the initial part of the retreat is difficult. There'll be struggle to pay attention, focus, struggling with distraction, struggling with distracting thoughts. Sometimes we have little obstacles, whatever it may be. And then the later part of the retreat, a feeling of calmness will set in. You feel calm, you feel at peace, and you feel joy, happy. That is when you engage in a retreat. And of course, it's not a 2-hour puja. We're talking of a retreat that maybe 2-day, 3 days retreat. And it doesn't have to be heavy duty, 5 sessions a day, 10,000 malas. Not necessary. Not necessary. So, I mean, if you are listening here for the first time, you're hearing all this about retreats, you can speak to a pastor or someone. If you're interested to know what it is like to experience yourself, you don't have to come to Kechara Forest Retreat, because you can't right now because of the the movement control order. But maybe in the future, maybe when you're listening to this right now, there is no lockdown anymore, there's no movement control order, and you can travel, then you're very much welcome. There is accommodation in Kechara Forest Retreat when the time is proper. All right. So you can do your retreats here, which is recommended because of the energy of this land, of the energy of this place. But you can also do retreats where you are. And a lot of you are, experiencing MCO, so you are mostly at home. You can do a mini one, a short one, a half day one, 1 day one. Okay, maybe I just say, oh, it's not, just now I kind of implied that it should be few days, but it doesn't have to be. The duration is totally up to you. More importantly is to experience the immersion. The idea is to immerse yourself in spiritual practice and to feel focus, calm, and envelop yourself with the mantras, with the blessings, and you will definitely feel a difference. Definitely. All right. So if you have any questions or anything about this, do let me know. Let me see anything else I missed about covering them. Okay. So I was living in Heruka house, and I spoke to you a little bit about my altar on my Lama Tsongkhapa statue, and that statue was I find it very sacred. It is now with me. It is one of the legacies my dad left behind for me, and I remember very well that it was dedicated to my mother, and that and of course now my both my parents are deceased. They've passed away, so it's dedicated to both of them. So the merits goes to them. And yeah, so all of us, the idea about, there's another thing that Rinpoche spoke about in terms of altars, and in this is how it goes. It may seem like materialism, like you are spending money to buy something that's gold, that's expensive, that is pretty, that is super, it's like, what's it got to do, altar, Buddha? I know Buddha is a spiritual figure, and it is a good reminder of spirituality, but it's more than that. The concept of an altar, the concept of setting an altar, I spoke about it being cutting of our attachments. And I spoke of it in a sense of creating causes to achieve the Buddha body, because you are spending your hard-earned money to invite a form of the Buddha. The form of the Buddha is the direct result of his attainments, because it's a fully enlightened being, so the attainments is full enlightenment. So we are creating the cause to achieve the same state as the Buddha body. So one of the benefits of the Buddha body is when we invest in the Buddha body, invite a Buddha body, a Buddha statue, is you will extend your life. It will increase your wisdom. It will benefit you, purify a lot of karma, especially of the body. All right. So aside from that, it is the place where we can do our practice, a focal point, rather than face an empty wall. Some traditions believe in that, because some other spiritual traditions believe that all this is materialism. It is against their belief that so spirituality should be towards the sublime, so there shouldn't be any representation of it, because it should be beyond that. So, but on the other hand, what happened is the form of the Buddha, the form of the deities, the enlightened beings we're talking about, arises from visions, arises from the prayers, from descriptions that's written by holy beings who have direct visions. So the beings appearing in those forms is a direct result of their attainments. They are really that's how they look, in a sense of how they are in the material form, in a physical form, not material form, but physical form. So when we make representations of it, it has a powerful effect when we looking on it, looking on a Buddha statue. All right. So what's it got to do with a Dharma house? So a Dharma house, we are full of it. This is a legacy of Rinpoche's teachings, because in our tradition, or rather in our organization, according to Rinpoche, having Buddha statues everywhere is a blessing. It's a blessing for us, for the environment, the energy of the environment. It's a blessing for the unseen beings. It is a blessing for the animals, the insects, so and much more. All right. So what happens is that's the whole idea lah, and that's why we have this. Some of us, when we come to Kechara, but my house personally, my own house, my own Dharma house is full of it. I started collecting little Buddha images. At first, I cannot, I I had prints, and Rinpoche, throughout his life, when he was alive, he was an avid um, collector of statues and giver of statues. He doesn't. You see, we have it available in outlets for people to invite as a practice, as in the sense that we invite from the store. We pay a certain amount, so it's a puja. Okay, it's a puja. So, and then at the same time, Rinpoche also have a lot of joy in giving Buddha statues. And even when he discovered a printer, I remember in the early days when Rinpoche is not so computer literate, Rinpoche bought his first few printers, and then he started printing a lot of Buddha images, because Rinpoche had been collecting Buddha images ever since he had a computer. And he goes online. In his free spare time, what Rinpoche likes to do is he likes to look at Buddha images when he wants to relax. Sometimes the rare Buddha images, Vajrayogini, rare forms of Vajrayogini, rare forms of Heruka, rare forms of Buddha Shakyamuni and Manjushri and so forth. And that's what Rinpoche used to do. And then when he sees something exciting, something new, he will send it to us. First buyer, in the old days, there's no WhatsApp, there's no Skype, there's no, So what was there? There was what do you call it? MMS, multimedia messaging service, I think. So what happened was he would send that. He would send to all of us, and then he would print out. And he bought a printer, and then he would print it out. He'll print out many, and then he'll cut it out, and he'll get me to cut out sometimes, and then he'll give to people. Sometimes he cut out small ones to put in my wallet. I still have a few from Rinpoche since those days. And then also Rinpoche had when he had sponsors and sponsorship, he would buy a lot of statues and give it away. And he had done divination for certain people, and there was a puja for some people. Okay, so the puja involved giving a lot of Buddha images, Buddha statues. It's a puja, Rinpoche said. So and he enjoys it. It's not something that is a practice like formal, and something that is he must do. It's a must do thing. It is something that Rinpoche enjoyed doing, because he genuinely feels that having a Buddha image, giving a Buddha image to someone, is a blessing for the person. That's what Rinpoche believes. And when Rinpoche gives a Buddha statue, obviously he would, it was something to help them start a practice. He won't give it to someone who doesn't believe, like, someone who is, totally not into Buddhism at all. Of course, the person is someone who is like, who is interested to practice. So that was how Rinpoche was like. And then our houses, Dharma houses, were filled with it. Sometimes Rinpoche will place statues of his own in the Dharma house. Sometimes it's given to a Dharma student to start off their altar. Yeah, that's what Rinpoche would do. And sometimes Rinpoche would just give people because they needed to do a certain practice. Maybe it's a puja for a particular obstacle they were going through. So Rinpoche would give the Buddha statue like Dorje Shukden. One of the most common statues I've seen Rinpoche give is Dorje Shukden, and Medicine Buddha, Tara, Lama Tsongkhapa. Yeah. Okay, Sharon says, my first own Buddha statue is from Rinpoche. It's a Lama Tsongkhapa. Very nice. Mine is Manjushri, the first one. And interestingly, it was Let me see. I gave Rinpoche the Manjushri statue first. Then Rinpoche gave me back in return this statue. Because my first image actually I bought was actually a Zambala, a little Zambala image. Because my second teaching was a Zambala retreat. And for the Zambala retreat, you need a small image of Zambala, the Buddha of wealth, and you need to for your practice, because the practice of Zambala is interesting because you needed a place to place the image and then a pot to pour water onto Zambala. And then part of the practice is you pour water while you recite the Zambala mantra, Om Zambala Zalin Dry So, Om Zambala Zalin Dry So, okay, during the puja. And then part of it also is to offer toma. Actually, traditionally in the monastery, they roll up round balls of toma, which is barley flour. But we didn't have it then. In Malaysia, it's hard to find barley flour. Okay, so what happened was we improvised lah. We had little biscuits that we offer into the big plate. Yeah, so those were the days. Anyway, yeah, so for the Dharma houses, Rinpoche would do a lot of things. I mean, furniture, lighting. Rinpoche would come and talk to people, come and see what they need. Oh, one more thing Rinpoche loves to do is he loves to go shopping, grocery shopping. And he will buy a lot of groceries and stock up all of our Dharma houses' kitchen. And Rinpoche would do that, and not just for Dharma houses. And so many of his Dharma students, sometimes Rinpoche would do that when he feels that they, it's an encouragement, it's a blessing, it's an encouragement. Maybe they have going through some obstacle, and it's Rinpoche's way to show I care. And Rinpoche would do that. And yeah, and not just Dharma houses, even wherever you are in the organization, in your department, in your office, the pantry, Rinpoche's focus is always there, in the sense that he would always get people to buy lots of groceries and stock it up, so that because he knows that Kecharians are very hardworking, they work very late. So he wants to make sure that when you work late, Rinpoche's philosophy about that is when you work very late, he makes sure that we have enough to eat. And he believes that so that we don't get sick and we can recover fast. All right, so that was what Rinpoche was like. Okay, this is what Joy said. Oh, wait. There's a few things. Abby says, my first statue from Rinpoche was a 4-arm Saraswati, and I got this statue from Rinpoche after I followed Rinpoche for 4 years. I just realized. 4 years, 4 arms. So 10 years later, it'll be 14 arms. Very cute. I know, I remember that statue. It was here in Enchanted Forest EF, right? When she gave it to you. And then Joy says, we had really awesome Buddha statue parties, and sometimes Rinpoche would say these Buddha images that he printed is free, and we would all helter-skelter to grab as many images as we can. Yeah, I know, Rinpoche he print out so much, and he would give it out to us. And actually, in hindsight, I didn't realize, it's something that Rinpoche did not during our time, even when he was young. Because later on, we found out, for Rinpoche's biography, remember, Rinpoche had those little Buddha images that Rinpoche used to draw. And Rinpoche said when he was young, he would draw. And it was painstaking because he had to draw, he had to, follow the proportions, the details and all that, and color it after that, and then cut it out and all that. So later on, Rinpoche discovered the Xerox machine. In America, in the 70s, 80s, they had Xerox machine, photostatic machines lah. So that was what Rinpoche used to do. He would photostat a lot of Buddha images for people, different sizes, and give it out when he needs to. That's something that it was from Rinpoche from a long time. And then later on, instead of paper pendants, Rinpoche designed his own pendants. That's what you can see in the outlets right now. So it's something that's not new. It's not something that Rinpoche started just when Rinpoche started Kechara. It was something way before. It's something that, that Rinpoche really cherished, because Rinpoche explained that The basis of all this is that he really believed from the bottom of his heart that the Buddha images can bless us, can benefit us, can, you know, bring tremendous benefit to us. Yes, I mean, yes, it was in. I remember here in the library, Rinpoche gave it to you. Why? Because I also thought, oh, that's a nice statue. Jealousy lah. So yeah, so those were the days. So the idea of a spiritual community is to support our practice, because generally speaking, we are all infants in the Dharma. Infants meaning we are new, we are young. So when we are young, a lot of things can lead us astray, and we can be distracted. So we can go off in a sense that, we can go off from the Dharma. So when you have a support system of a community working together, living together, and it supports our practice. All right, that's the whole idea. Hi Kamala, long time no see. I remember your food, Kamala. Sorry, you cook really nice. It's spicy, but it's very nice Indian dishes. You didn't cook for me. Don't try to remember. You did never cook for me. You cook for Rinpoche. I remember Kamala cooked for Rinpoche. You offer your yummy dishes to Rinpoche, and Rinpoche will give me some. So yeah, Rinpoche gave you satrap, huh? That's very nice. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah, so that's what Rinpoche was like, lah. So in fostering this community, he would do all these things with us. He would make sure that we have enough food. Sometimes Rinpoche, besides food, besides Buddha images and all that, Rinpoche would even, like during Chinese New Year, on a number of occasions, for the staff of Kechara, which are people who live in various Dharma houses, Rinpoche would, raise funds for us to have Chinese New Year clothes. And so we go and shop for ourselves. And I even remember, a few times Rinpoche would go out and shop with us. And then eventually we did it ourselves. And it was something that to support us. It was Rinpoche's way of caring. And it was Rinpoche's way of celebrating Chinese New Year. Although Rinpoche does not celebrate Chinese New Year, Rinpoche is not Chinese. Rinpoche is Tibetan Mongolian, but he understands it's our culture. And yeah, that's what Rinpoche used to do. Talking about food, sharing comes up. No. I brought it up, Kamala. It's not so that you can cook for me. Thank you very much. The offer, that's very sweet of you. It was just to, I don't know, when I see you, I just think of your Indian food. Yeah, thank you very much though for the kind thought. We have good Indian food here too in Bentong. Thank you. So what happened is, it was that those were the days lah when Rinpoche was around. Rinpoche would do a lot. It was something that Rinpoche think almost on a daily basis, how to feed people, how to buy, what people need, whether it's a phone, whether it's a laptop for their work, for their leisure, whether they needed to go to see the doctor, whether the car. Sometimes Rinpoche would even check if our car tires needed to be changed. And Rinpoche would do this on a continuous basis. You must understand how Rinpoche operate. It's like what the students need for practice, what the student need in a sense of personal needs, what the student need in terms of medical, of the car, of sometimes even holidays, even to the extent he will plan for our holidays. For many of my holidays in the past, it was planned by Rinpoche, and that's the extent of how Rinpoche's compassion and care, and in helping us to develop this community. So when Rinpoche is not around, so we have to do it for ourselves and for others. All right, so I've reached the end. So in a nutshell, Okay, this is something from the Dharma. This whole concept of spiritual community is from the Dharma. It is from even Atisha has spoke about it, that we should surround ourselves with friends who are spiritual friends, because it will be only of benefit to our practice. Because we do not want to surround ourselves with worldly friends, although there is nothing wrong with worldly friends. But we do not want to be influenced by them away from the Dharma, especially when we are not stable or very young or very new. All right, or our practice is not strong. So if our practice is strong, then it is, but with all means, And there are times when it's important to know. How you know is whether when you hang around with the friends, whether you influence them positively or they influence you negatively. So what is positive? What is negative? There is no positive. There is no negative. There is only Dharma. There is only spirituality, and there is only benefit. So what is positive? What is negative? Is in those terms, whether we practice the Dharma or we don't practice the Dharma. And the Dharma practice doesn't have to be in front of altar, doesn't have to be having, a statue, reciting mantra, sitting cross-legged, and you call that Dharma. Practicing the Dharma, it can be going out with a friend. It can going out to yum cha, to have dinner, to have supper, for a movie. It can also be a spiritual setting, going for puja. It could be work, coming to work. It can be anything at all. We should start, especially after a few years in the Dharma, we should start limiting what Dharma is and start thinking, oh, doing Dharma is only when you sit on a Dharma on a meditation cushion, or when you come to Kechara to do puja, or when you are doing your sadhana. It doesn't, or when you are doing your offerings, you shouldn't limit our Dharma to only that time. Dharma should be as often as you can. Thinking of other people, benefiting other people, paying it forward, the phrase paying it forward. When someone benefits you, always repay kindness. Thinking of how to benefit someone who has been kind to us is Dharma. So there's many ways to express Dharma. And when you are in a spiritual community, support each other. Be a supporting influence, a beneficial influence, rather than a negative influence, rather than someone who is always needing to be cuddle and, oh, poor you. After a few years in the Dharma, we should try to lessen that. There will always be time where we are down, we need support. Yeah, there'll always be, but we have to lessen it over time. If it doesn't lessen, are we really practicing the Dharma? Are we really internalizing the Dharma? That we need someone so that we can practice, someone to talk to us, to coddle us, to say poor you, to give you advice. Over time, we should be the one giving the advice, not always receiving advice. All right. So the idea of a spiritual community is turning it around, giving other people advice. Our spiritual community doesn't have to be just in Kechara Forest Retreat. It can be your individual homes, in your individual families. You can start Dharma there. I know this is all grand and sounds wow, like a Dharma talk, and okay, it's a speech, it's a wonderful spiel, and then after you turn off your computer, it all goes back to normal. I hope it doesn't become like that. It is supposed to inspire you to always practice this Dharma, always try to incorporate the Dharma as much as you can. The teachings that Rinpoche has given, try to recall, and how to, there are many teachings Rinpoche give that is very lifestyle, how to bring Dharma home, how to have a successful relationship with your family, with your spouse, with your kids, with your family members, and help them, give them a good view of Dharma by your own transformation. All right. Okay, Sharon here has a question. What does it mean by internalizing Dharma? Internalizing Dharma means It is not just something you speak about on a Dharma talk or you read about in books. It is something that you practice. When you practice, it means what it means by practicing the Dharma is not practice mean per offerings, make offerings. No. It means being a kinder person. It means lessening your anger, your negative qualities. It means being more patient. It means being more understanding of other people. Try to be more understanding rather than being the difficult person and everybody has to understand you. All of us are difficult people. Definitely, we are not saints. So, and especially we should realize this and change that. Most important is realize it first. Which part of you is difficult? All of us are difficult in a certain department in our character. We just have to recognize it, accept it. Many of us don't accept it. Many of us don't recognize it. All right. So when we recognize, then once you recognize, it's just the first step. Then you have to change it. Once when you change it, people will notice. Then they will say, Dharma is good. I want to practice Dharma too. So instead of asking people to practice the Dharma, you have to show the Dharma first by changing, lessening your negative habits, being a kinder person, more conscientious. Sometimes we are stop saying a lot of sorry, stop making people remind us of things. Rinpoche, the things that Rinpoche talks about in his talks. People reminding us, people telling us off, people are not happy with us because we have this bad habit. We are a nice person, but because this. Stop having all this. Find ways to overcome it. Of course, we will never be the perfect. We always have flaws, but it should be flaws that are non-intentional. We don't intentionally, like something that's out of habit. Okay, so that is an idea of what a spiritual community is. It is to live among, like Joy said was very good. What Joy said was very good. She said is to practice the Dharma together. All these different individuals coming together, giving up their my freedom, my space, in order to practice the Dharma, in order to help someone, in order to tolerate someone's idiosyncrasies. All right, practicing the Dharma together. That's how you internalize it. So at the end of the day, that's what Kechara is about. And that's what we hope to inspire other people. Kechara cannot, Rinpoche understands that we cannot make a spiritual community. The whole world cannot be a giant spiritual community. It can be, but we can inspire each other to form our own. That's the whole idea. So instead of having, you see, Rinpoche would like a lot of Dharma centers all over the world, a lot of Dharma communities all over the world. And but he can't travel everywhere to start one. For one person to do that is impossible. But for one person to start something that become an inspiration for others, that is very possible. So in order for others to be inspired by us, we should be, an example first. So we have to practice. We have to show that as to be the example. All right. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the session. You have learned something, or you have reminisced something, or you enjoyed the anecdotes of Rinpoche behind the scenes, because many of us only watch Rinpoche from the point of Rinpoche giving teachings. So I'm delivering an experience of being behind the scenes of what Rinpoche, behind the throne, of how Rinpoche establish a spiritual community. All right. Thank you very much. I think I will be logging off soon. Thank you. And I'll see you soon. All right. I have this once upon a time with Rinpoche every 2 weeks. So this session is dedicated to Michael, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. There's a sponsor. Okay, Michael and family. And the dedication, may the Guru swiftly return to benefit all sentient beings. I wish that too. 去着不送个吧，特殊那么别忘了，给什么就我当对你们我上说到的先给的送当就是来的呢，给我老送着吧，他们把就是红东边我就马路把真的到了说的说，过两天我就拿，给我说是 shoot themselves. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I was long off. I see you soon. Bye. Bye bye.